Today's journey takes a mysterious twist as we make our way to Mt Gilead Cemetery in Sparta, Tennessee. We are seemingly being beckoned here today by the call of history and mystery. The subject of much speculation and lore, we find ourselves amongst a collection of graves with tent-like concrete slabs that are 150 years old. The question that we must ask is why? Why are these graves marked with such a unique design, one that is rare even in a lot of old cemeteries? Was it simply a custom? Was it to represent a certain tribe or family or congregation? I don't know. I do know that there has been a lot of speculation dating back to the early 1800s, which makes me wonder what secrets are held in these grounds. Some call them tent graves, some comb graves, grave coverings, whatever the case may be. There are no doubts that these are unique with a bit of mystery associated with them. I want to take a look at some of the lore associated with this area and how that ties in with certain theories surrounding these graves. In the early part of the 1800s, small rectangular boxes were being discovered on farms. When opened, the farmers who found them said they contained human remains with normal-sized skulls but below average stature. These discoveries were talked about for years beyond their initial findings. The grounds in which we now stand were inhabited by the Cherokee Native Americans. Legend and lore has it that there were a tribe of native little people who function as their own unit. The place where the discoveries were made is very near to the tent graves that we are visiting now, so there is a certain demographic out there that believes that these are a connection to that tribe. I don't guess anybody knows the secrets held within these grounds. Could it be overactive imaginations reaching and grasping for clues or perhaps for a good story? Very possible. I think it's probably not a likely truth, but I don't know. There are reports of this tribe in newspapers back from the day, and it was also said that some of the bones were studied. I read and studied a lot of material on this, and there is some compelling evidence to support a tribe as described. Whether or not that translates to any connection here, that will probably always be an unknown secret. Here at Mt Gilead Cemetery in Sparta, Tennessee, in what would resemble Appalachian ancient ruins, tent graves or comb graves, whatever you want to call them, dot the small bluff with mystique. As you can see in the video, several of these graves are marked, which I was honestly surprised to see. I was not expecting any markings, so it was nice to be able to read names and dates and at least know that. It turns out that although extremely specific to the area, I was able to find a few more of these tent graves in this region. To put this into context for my channel, I have filmed in several different states, and I am about 4 hours from this location, and I have never seen anything like this before. Perhaps a little more logical explanation for this particular cemetery and design. In this area, it seems that the gravestone design and arrangement was simply a popular way to do it at the time. With a large variety of wildlife in the area, it keeps the graves a little more protected. Most of the graves here are more than 150 years old, so you can see that, they have held up pretty well. Right across the way is the Mt Gilead Methodist Church, which has roots dating back to 1826. That's where the cemetery got its name. No one truly knows why the graves are designed this way. I would love to know, but it makes for an interesting mystery and, of course, interesting history. You know, as I was walking through the graves, looking at the names and the dates and all that, I'm sure that those buried there knew each other. So it is so neat that whatever their connection may be, whether they were a part of a tribe or whether they were just friends or family or maybe a part of the same congregation, I do think it's pretty neat that even in death, 150 years later, they stand united and they stand as one. So I think there is a lot to be said for that. And whether or not that was intentional, I don't know, but that's the way it looks as of now, looking through these eyes that are more recent, definitely not from the 1850s. So I really enjoy visiting cemeteries, and this is one of the most unique places that we have ever visited. So I was definitely glad to be able to make it to this cemetery, Mt Gilead, here in Sparta, Tennessee. More videos coming from Sparta, and I found a lot of neat history here, so I'm so glad to be able to make this weekend trip here to Sparta, Tennessee. Have also did some filming in Knoxville, so yeah, I did a little weekend filming trip to Tennessee, me and Ms. Whitdox, and she's the one that actually found this, but this is just a wonderful, beautiful location, so I'm so glad that we were able to look at this. I mean, if you just look at the history associated with this, just take a look around at the cemetery. I mean, it is just loaded with mystique and a certain amount of mysterious charm. There are also going to be a few videos on the screen that will be popping up that will highlight some of my cemetery videos, which is all I do. So please click on those. And once again, from Sparta, Tennessee, here at Mt Gilead Cemetery, I will see you again soon.